Hi everyone, welcome back to day 3 of the Papercraft Society Advent Calendar collaboration with Monika, Paper Mona. She's the one hosting this challenge. And the other member is Denise from Little G Papercrafts. And every day we are coming in with a different inspiration to show you what we decided to use the contents of that day's box. Today we are on day number 3 and we got this gorgeous red envelope with all the sparkles and the stars on it. And inside we have a gorgeous embossing folder. So it is an A6 size embossing folder and it is so pretty. It is a poinsettia arrangement, and the moment I've seen this, I just knew who this was designed by. It is just so her style, and this was designed by Chloe's Creative Cards. So I was really excited to start using this. You know, if you've seen any of my makes before, my videos, or you followed me for a minute, that I do love Chloe's products. So I went ahead and I embossed using my die cutting machine a couple of panels. I didn't know where I was going to go with this card, so I just made some extra anyway, and then just the poinsettia flower just on a piece of cardstock. And I'm using watercolor card by Creative Craft Products from Craft Stash because I will be doing some watercoloring later. But first I want to do some heat embossing on the raised areas. So I use my anti-static bag all over my embossed cardstock. And just with my brayer, I'm taking some Wow embossing ink and I'm just very gently rolling back and forth. I'm not pressing it down hard. I just want the raised areas to be embossed. I'm using the Wow metallic gold rich embossing powder in here, and it's giving me a lovely coverage in there. There's just some extra bit on the top and the bottom, which was expected really. So I just take a dry brush and I just really quickly brush all that excess away. If there's any stray little pieces of embossing powder here and there on my design, it's not going to bother me. It can be part of the design, like looking like gold splatters. But I think it came out pretty good. So then I'm taking my heat gun on setting number 2 and I'm just heat setting this, melting that powder. And once I'm finished with this piece, I'm going to repeat the same process on the other one and then the 2 smaller pieces. So now I have everything heat embossed here, the magic of video editing. I will only use one of those panels today and the 2 of these small flowers, by the way. But the other one I can put away for some other time to use, and maybe even in this series. I am going to use some Distress Oxide inks for coloring. From the blues I have Tumbled Glass, Salty Ocean, and Uncharted Mariner. I brought in some white honey, but you'll see me change that in a wee second. And I also have some greens. I'll talk you through those in a minute. And I am doing just some super easy watercoloring. I have water in a cup here and I'm diluting the colors down. So there's Salty Ocean to the base of the petals, and then towards the end of the petals I'm going more with the Tumbled Glass, and I'm just making sure that they nicely blend into each other so there's no harsh lines between the 2 colors, just giving some lovely watercolor effect. And then once these dry, I will come back and I will add a little bit of the Uncharted Mariner, just little lines here and there, just following really the design of the poinsettias that is already there. Until then, I'm going to color in the leaves with some greens, and I have Lucky Clover and Rustic Wilderness. So you can see how I'm coming in with the Lucky Clover, and then I am blending a little bit of the Rustic Wilderness in them, and this is where I'm bringing in the Uncharted Mariner. You can see how I'm just following the design of the flowers themselves in there. And then I thought I needed a different shade of green for the other leaves, so I am going to use crushed olive, and again just adding a heavier layer on the base and then just wash it in with some water to stretch the color out to the end of the leaves. The crushed olive is quite a yellowy green, so that's why I end up changing the yellow that I originally brought in for the middle of the flowers. And the one that I decided to use in here is an orange color, the carved pumpkin, and that's the one that I'm using on all the dots all over the design as well in there, one stretching out from the design. And this is it done. That I am just coloring in the 2 flowers on the smaller pieces of cardstock in there, and I just color them in exactly the same way that I done earlier on. Then I'm going to fussy cut this. Now this is not hard to cut out at all. It will go quite easy. I am not a huge fan of fussy cutting. I don't mind it now. I'm kind of used to it a bit more than I used to be. But this is very easily followed. I'm just following the raised lines of the heat embossing in there around the flower. So I'm cutting both of these poinsettias out, and these ones will be layered on top of my original design, or the full design in there, just like so. When cutting my panel to size, I am going by the design itself. So I'm not measuring, I'm just cutting around the design as close as I can get without cutting into the design. And cutting it this way will leave me with the panel measuring 3 7/8 by 5 1/4 of an inches. So I cut another piece of white cardstock to 4 by 5 3/8 of an inch, and that is just 1/8 of an inch bigger in each direction. And I am using the crushed olive just on the edges of that cardstock that I will be layering my panel on. Now I don't want to waste that ink in there, so I took a piece of watercolor cardstock from my scrap, and I am just going to, I sprayed some water on top of that ink, and I'm just pulling it all up onto the cardstock. I'm going to set this aside to dry, and I will be able to use this to die cut leaves, foliage, or whatever out from. I really love that color. So then, because of the embossing, heat embossing, watercoloring, this panel is quite warped. That's why I am using double-sided sticky tape on top of that backing panel, and that will definitely help straightening it out quite a bit. Once this is done, I am going to work on my card base. I have a piece of card here measuring 6.5 by 6.5 inches, and one measuring 6.5 by 7 inches. And on the 7-inch side, I'm going to score down at 6.5 inches. I will be left with a 1/2 inch of a tab, and this is the tab that I will use to attach my other panel to the 6.5 squared panel to. Just like that, we have created a 6.5 by 6.5 inch card base. Now there's a bit of my panel overhanging. I didn't measure it very well, so I'm just going to bring in my long bladed scissors, and I'm just cutting that little bit away. And that's my card base ready. For a matte layer, I have a 6 3/8 of an inch squared gold mirror card, and on top of that I already adhered a 6 1/4 of an inch of a white card, which I emboss. You can see that emboss detail on top of that. The embossing folder that I use is from Chloe's Creative Cards, and it is one of the latest embossing folders that she released. I will leave a link to it in the description box below. It is one of my favorites to use this season. So now I am adding just a little bit of a double-sided tape at the back of these 2 panels, which are attached together, because I want to add some ribbon on top of that. So I'm using this gorgeous light blue ribbon. It really matches the color of my flower. I already prepared the bow, which I will attach to that ribbon later. So the ribbon is just about 1/2 inch in from the edge of my panel. So now I am going to glue this onto my card base, but where the ribbon is, I am covering it with double-sided tape, and for the rest I'm going to use some cola glue. I'm going to use my card as a top folding card today. That is my preferred way, I think, more often than not, but you can use this as a side folding one as well. Now I'm going to add my panel at an angle. I also cut a gold panel just 1/8 of an inch bigger, so this one would be 4 1/8 of an inch by 5.5. And this one will be glued straight onto the card base. This panel is just being held in place with my fingers for now. I just want to make sure that I do like the placement. And then I will add some dimension behind it on top of that gold panel. And normally, or more often than not lately, I would use foam pads or foam tape. Today I'm going to do something that I haven't done in a long time. I used to do all the time to use chipboard. I have a basket full and full of chipboard pieces like this, so I thought that I will want to start using them up a bit. And I like to add this behind sentiments, behind panels like this. It gives it quite a good of a stability. So I'm using double-sided tape on the side that is going to be attached to the gold card, and then I'm just using cola glue on top of it. Now this is a 1.5-inch thick, so it's not too thin, not too thick, it's just right. It's something that I like using. If I have a thinner chipboard, which I have a lot of, I would just double up on it to add behind my panel. So I'm cutting a foam pad down into small squares just to add it behind the layers of the flowers that I fussy cut earlier on. And I'm just reinforcing it with a bit of a liquid glue, adding it on top of the flower underneath, offsetting the petals a bit. I'm adding a little bit of a curve into the petal just, and not adding too much dimension, just a little bit. And then the foam pad, or in the foam pad square, again reinforcing it with a bit of liquid glue and layering it on top of my flower. I'm going to bring in my dry clear glue in a fine tip glue bottle, and I'm going to fill in all the little dots all around my image in there to add some glitters to them later. Now my card will not need a sentiment, obviously, because it already says Merry Christmas, so I can just go to town with the glitter, decorating this panel a little bit. Now I added some glue in the middle of the flowers too, but you'll see me changing my mind. I wipe that off and I come back with glossy accents instead. Glossy accents will stay more dimensional on the middle of the berries in there. And I am covering my panel in crystalline glitter glue now. And the glue will look white and the glossy accents cloudy until they dry. Once they dry, they will just leave me with some gorgeous sparkle on top of the color. And then to finish this just off, you will see me come back with some rhinestones, one on top of the bow, and then 3 in 2 of the corners of this card. And while I'm doing this, I would like you to go over to Monika's and Denise's channels as well to see what they made with their boxes today. They're both very talented crafters and they come up with some amazing ideas. And if you would like to join in our challenge, just share your mix inspired by our mix on your social media with the hashtag PS Advent Calendar 2024. We would just love to see what you've created. And if you like what you see, if you like our videos, please do not forget to give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. And if you haven't yet done so, please subscribe to our channels and hit the notification bell to make sure you'll get notified anytime we upload new videos. And December up until Christmas Day, it will be daily uploads at 7 o'clock every morning using all the different boxes of this advent calendar. It's quite an intense journey, I have to admit, but it's such a rewarding one because reading your comments and seeing new subscribers coming to our channels every day is really, really rewarding. So this is my card ready, and this is some close-ups a little bit later when all that glue had dried and the glossy accents had cleared too. Look at that gorgeous shine and sparkle and the beautiful flowers with the bow. I think this is just so, so cute. I really love how this card turned out. I almost want to create this in all different colors and color combinations. I really hope to see you back soon. You can check out my playlist of previous videos in this challenge already. I'll see you soon. Bye!